So I'm 24 years old. I make a decent amount of money as a software engineer. And according to basically everyone in my life, my parents, my older coworkers, random people on the internet even, I should be saving up for a house. I should be looking at starter homes, talking to mortgage brokers, and planning my path to home ownership like every good American is supposed to do. But here's the thing, I am never going to own a home. And before you click off thinking this is just some doom and gloom Gen Z complaining video, hear me out. This isn't about just giving up. It's about being strategic and honest about the reality we live in. Let me start with some numbers. The median home price in the US is now over $420,000. And in my city, try $800,000 for a decent place that doesn't require you to renovate everything from the foundation up. And I'm not talking about some mansion with a pool even. I'm talking about a basic 2-bedroom house that probably was built in the 1950s. When my parents initially bought their home, they only paid a few times the median income. Actually, it was only around 2.6 to 3 times their income. Now on a national level, it's about 6. And around me, it's about 8 times. And that's being generous because these are the same homes from the 90s. But now 35 years older, 35 years more worn down, and more expensive. After the 2008 Great Recession, we actually stopped the acceleration of building in America, and for the past 15 years, we had record low interest rates. But now that I am ready to buy a house, they are all over 6 times my income, older, more worn down, and interest rates are at 20-year highs. But everyone keeps telling me the same things, just save up for a down payment, look at FHA loans, maybe even consider a fixer-upper. And honestly, I used to buy into the advice. I spent months looking at houses online, calculating mortgage payments, trying to figure out how I can make that work. Then I did the math and really did the math. Even if I saved aggressively, put down 20%, which would be around $120,000, maybe even more for something in my area, my average mortgage payment would be somewhere around $3,500 to $4,000. Add in the property tax, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, and the inevitable repairs that come with owning a 50-year-old house. And now for sure, it would be well over $4,000 a month, which is way more than half my take-home pay. And that's just going to housing. We never talked about utilities, which are also on the increase. So for all of that, and for what? To be house poor in my 20s? To spend every weekend at Home Depot instead of living my life? To be tied down to one location when my career might require me to move? To take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt for an asset that might not even appreciate faster than inflation anymore? This is where people jump in with the, but you're building equity quote. Yeah, and I'm also building stress, building debt, and building a prison that's keeping me tied to a specific geographic location for the next 30 some odd years. Here's what I realized after months of house hunting and running the numbers. The entire premise that home ownership equals success is a relic from a different economical era. It's like being told to buy a horse in the age of cars. My parents' generation could buy a house at 25, pay it off by 55, and use it as a retirement piggy bank. But they were buying houses for $80,000 that are now worth over $500,000. Well, really not my parents, because my parents actually lost their home in the Great Recession. But for your parents' homes or for other people's parents' homes who are homeowners, that's the reality. They rode a wave of artificial appreciation that simply cannot and will not repeat itself. We're living in a completely different world. The average person my age changes jobs every 2 to 3 years. We might need to move cities for career opportunities. We're dealing with student loans, stagnant wages relative to the cost of living, obviously. And we're in an economy that rewards flexibility over stability. And yet we're still being sold this 1950s dream of white picket fences and 30-year mortgages. So instead of fighting a rigged game, I've chosen to opt out of it completely. And here's the crazy part. It's actually working out better than I even imagined. Currently I rent, and my monthly rent is less than half what I would pay if I had a mortgage on it. I have no maintenance costs, no property taxes, no HOA fees, and when my water heater breaks or if something breaks, the building fixes it. If I need to move closer to work, try a different neighborhood, or just relocate for my job, I can at any time. So with my current situation, I'm actually building more wealth than I would be as a homeowner. All that money I'm not spending on down payments, closing costs, repairs, inflated monthly payments, I invest it in index funds, in my retirement accounts. I'm building skills that increase my earning potential. And while my friends are either house poor, stressed about interest rates, or tied down to locations they're not even sure they want to stay in, I'm completely free to take a job offer in another city, free to travel, free to invest my money in assets that don't require me to be locked in. And let's just focus on the mobility aspect for a second. Our economy rewards people who can move for opportunities, the best career growth, the highest salaries, the most interesting work. It's not all in one city. If you're locked into a mortgage in, let's say, Cleveland, because that's where you want to and can afford to buy a house in, you can't easily take that job in Austin, New York City, San Francisco, or wherever the opportunities are. I know what you're thinking, but what about retirement? What about building generational wealth? Here's the thing. I'm 24. I have 40 plus years to build that wealth through investments that are actually liquid, actually diversified, and don't require me to bet my entire financial future on one piece of real estate in one specific location. The stock market has historically returned about 7% annually after inflation. Real estate about 1% after inflation. Yeah, your house might double in value over 20 years, but so will a diversified investment portfolio, and I won't have to replace the roof or deal with property taxes. And generational wealth, I'd rather leave my kids money they can actually use instead of a house they'll probably have to sell because they can't afford the property taxes or they don't want to live in the same city I chose 40 years earlier. I'm not saying homeownership is bad for everyone. If you truly can afford it, and by afford it, I mean the total monthly cost is less than 25% of your income, and you plan to stay in the same location for at least 7 to 10 years, then maybe it makes sense for you. But for most people my age, we're being sold a dream that's actually a financial nightmare dressed up as the American dream. The funniest part is how defensive people get when I explain this. Like I'm personally attacking their life choices by making different ones. Homeowners will bend over backwards just to justify their decision, talking about the intangible benefits of home ownership and the pride of having their own place. But here's the reality when I see my homeowner friends. They stress about mortgage payments, weekends spent on repairs instead of their hobbies, arguments with the HOAs, panic about something breaking in the middle of needing it, feeling trapped by their jobs they hate because they need steady income to make the mortgage payments and they're stuck to that one location. For me, that doesn't sound like my dream. That sounds like voluntarily signing up for stress, limitation, all in exchange for social approval of checking a box that society says you're supposed to check. I'd rather rent a nice place, invest the difference, maintain my flexibility, and build wealth through assets that don't require me to become a part-time plumber, a landscaper, or even a handyman. Will I ever own a home? Maybe, if the market crashes hard enough that prices return to some sane level. Or if I ever reach a point where buying a house will be like buying a car, just a consumption choice rather than a necessity. But I'm not going to sacrifice my 20s and 30s trying to achieve a goal that was designed for a different economic reality. I'm not going to go house poor chasing a status symbol that's become more of a burden than a benefit. Instead, I'm going to rent, invest, stay flexible, build actual wealth rather than the illusion of wealth that comes with an overpriced house that might actually lose value the day after you buy it. And honestly, I sleep better at night knowing that if I lose my job tomorrow, I can pack up and move anywhere in the country within 30 days or to another country even, than trying to do that when you're locked into a 30-year mortgage. The game has changed, but the advice hasn't caught up. So I'm writing my own rules. And so far, those rules are working out pretty damn well. What do you guys think? Are you guys also questioning whether home ownership makes sense anymore? Or am I completely off base here? Let me know in the comments. And if you're dealing with something similar about money or life decisions, consider joining the Discord linked in the description. I'm trying to build a community of people who are all just trying to figure it out and navigate this weird economy together. And if you found this helpful, consider supporting the channel through the Buy Me a Coffee link below. Right now, any support is actually going to be going back into the channel and building out the community. And not only that, I'm actually building a financial platform to help my followers navigate reality. And I also did just want to announce and say thank you for 100 subscribers. Since last video, we actually went from, I think, like 33 to 130 something, which is awesome. And I really do appreciate the support a ton. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and I will reply to every single comment. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.